The Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 1, has premiered on Disney Plus. This is my review of Chapter 1 of the Book of Boba Fett. If you have not seen it yet, I will go into some plot stuff here. So make sure you watch the episode. I'm not going to really go into too much stuff because this episode was very, very different. First of all, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are back producing this show, and they've done a really great job with The Mandalorian. And this show is kind of in the same spirit. For many, many years, wanted a show that focused on the Star Wars underworld, like the crime syndicates and, like the underbelly of Star Wars, not just the Empire and the Rebels. I like looking at some of the other aspects of it and looking at, like how people survive in this world, and this show is looking to give us a lot of that. Tamora Morrison stars, and this first episode was directed by Robert Rodriguez, the same Robert Rodriguez who directed, tons of movies like Machete, From Dusk Till Dawn. I mean, he's got a great catalog, great director. And, this episode was very, very different from what I was expecting. Not very dialogue heavy. It was very artsy. The way it was shot was very much in the vein of kind of like an art piece. It was very, like I said, very artsy. Very much like what Christopher Nolan did with Dunkirk, where you let the visuals kind of speak for themselves as opposed to just talking. I really loved how early in the episode, the first section of the episode, Boba's having these dreams about stuff that happened to him in the past, including his dad dying and him taking up the helmet. And then the big one is that we finally got to see how Boba got out of the Sarlacc, which I know people have wanted to see for years. I remember being in middle school and there was talk of Boba getting out. And I remember in middle school, there were kids who were like, yeah, man, I really want to see how Boba Fett got out of the Sarlacc. Well, we got to see it here. He wakes up in the belly of the Sarlacc and he sees like stormtroopers there. And remember, it takes 1,000 years for you to be digested, but he did not knock out, so he was able to get out of that. But then it goes to him having issues with the Jawas, and then it goes to him having issues with the Sand People, and then it goes to this huge fight, this big rumble in the streets, which I thought was a lot of fun. And then it went to this fight with Boba Fett fighting this big Goro-like four-armed monster, and that was kind of cool as well. I find it interesting that the episode was called A Stranger in a Strange Land. Now, granted, Boba was not born on Tatooine, he was born on Kamino, but it was always implied to me that Boba was very familiar with Tatooine because of his association with Jabba the Hutt. But apparently he's still a stranger in a strange land. And this episode shows how Boba became like the ruler of Jabba's palace and kind of became the top dog in that section of Tatooine. He has conversations with somebody who represents the mayor, and that leads to him going to this I guess it was like a restaurant, right? And that would lead, of course, to the big fight. There wasn't too much in the way of plot. I think it was just done to kind of set up what we're going to see in this show. It's 7 episodes long. And one thing I am concerned about, and I'll be honest with y'all about this, is that Boba Fett, I think, works better. And I think he got popular because he's an enforcer type character. And the enforcer characters usually do get over, but, like, they get popular, but here we're actually going to make a whole story about him. However, I do trust Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. I do trust them because they did a great job with Mandalorian season 1 and 2, and this is basically a spinoff to it. So, they got a good team. So I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. I mean, really, the special effects, they used a lot of practical effects, and even the CGI was not like blatant CGI. Like, you couldn't just tell it was CGI. Just really, really good stuff, I liked it. It was, again, I was very slow, though, and I feel like some fans are not going to appreciate it. I did, because I kind of figured out what Robert Rodriguez was trying to do. But I did kind of feel like, okay, it's a bit slow, and some people might not like it. There's not really the same kind of story as Mandalorian has. Of course, a different character. But overall, I really don't think... it's interesting because, I don't think it was bad, but what I was going to say was this episode wasn't even shown to the critics. And it makes you think they're going to have a big surprise. And there really weren't that many big surprises. It really wasn't that type of episode. It was just done to show how much of a badass Boba Fett is. That's really literally what this episode did. And tried to do. And to establish Tatooine with the Sand People, with the Jawas, people in Boba's... I'm sorry, well, it is Boba's palace now, but it used to be Jabba's palace. And what has happened since, Jabba was killed by Princess Leia in Return of the Jedi. Overall, though, thumbs up episode. I liked it. Again, if you didn't, I kind of understand because it was a different kind of feel to it. But I thought it was good. Everything looked real. Everything looked like it made sense. I liked it. So what did you think? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you guys very soon.